We have so many quality enhancement initiatives in our state now. Each of these adds another assessment tool for programs to deal with. It's like the alphabet visitors have arrived. The ITers, the ESSERs, PASS, CLASS, and DRDP. At some point we have to stop and take stock of how this is all working. I don't know if we're getting better outcomes for children, and I worry that we are sucking the joy out of teaching. To reconsider all this, let's listen to the reflections of two experienced early childhood coaches. They engage teachers in using documentation in meaningful ways.
Ijima, when we are hired to work as a coach or a mentor to improve scores on those rating scales, we usually don't get much face-to-face time with the practitioners. The temptation is to focus on the assessment tool rather than deepening understandings of how to work as a reflective teacher.
You know what? That just won't work. You have to build relationships over time to be an effective coach. Coaches aren't the ones that really improve quality. Only the practitioners can do that. They benefit by being guided to think through their work and how it relates to ECE standards.
Yes, and we tend to see the opposite. Teachers just get stressed out with these documentation and assessment requirements. They don't see them as relevant. They complain that documentation requirements take them away from what they find more valuable.
You know, I'm thinking about the experience each of us has had with working with Hilltop toddler teachers, Nick and Emily. They have shown us how teachers can figure this out.
A big piece for me that I learned was making sure that the environment was set up to support our observing and documenting. When we have the open-ended materials that support and extend the children's interests, then they're able to engage in that activity and really work through the relationships, and which gives us a turn to step back and write down what's going on and take a picture or two. And another thing that was really important that I started to realize over time was making sure the environment is also ready for us, that there's pens and papers, pencils, just available for us to grab and write down those moments. And then also having a backup battery for the camera and making sure the camera is in an accessible place.
Well, and setting up the environment for that way too helps so that not only can I observe the kids, but I can also observe you and see what it is that you're doing in the classroom. So when you're really focused on something that kids are learning, then I can be sure to keep my eyes on the whole group and know where they are and what they're doing, so you can focus on that,
Right.
And not have to worry about everything else.
After 5 years of working together, documentation has become a way of teaching for them.
So let's see if we can summarize how this observation documentation process has evolved for Nick and Emily.
The first thing they've come to understand is the role of the environment in making it possible to observe and document.
Yes, and the director has played a big part in their success. She's provided tools, workspace, and meeting time for them to study their documentation. Each week they gather with other staff members around a piece of documentation to get ideas about its meaning. They've been guided to use a protocol, and it now comes naturally for them.
When you listen to Nick and Emily talk about their observation, you hear them searching for the child's point of view and trying to understand the why beyond what the child is doing. That's a whole different way to think about assessment.
So I was wondering, I've seen him do that, and then I've seen him yell from across the room, too high, if the tower's getting too high.
Yeah, I've noticed him since he's started to really become more verbal and very vocal and getting a real grasp on language, that he's starting to exercise that power a lot more, and he sees that it is having an effect on what he's doing.
I've noticed that they never end a team meeting without making a plan about what they will do next. They are careful to make the next step to build on what they think the child's interest is, instead of taking it off a familiar curriculum theme, which is usually more the adult's idea of something interesting rather than the children's idea.
Ijima, if you could call out a turning point for Emily and Nick in using documentation as the central aspect of their teaching, what would it be?
I believe it would be how they know themselves. They pay attention to their values and goals for children to discover the true intention of the assessment tools.
Emily and Nick are inspired by their observations of ordinary moments with children. When they study their documentation closely, they remember why they got into this work. They don't let children's behavior, lack of resources, or assessment requirements dampen their delight in spending their days with children.
If you are a teacher or provider, how can you make your observations and documentation more meaningful in your work? If you are a mentor or coach, how do you shift your focus from compliance to reflection and the intent of the tools? If you are a director, what steps can you take to provide time and technology for your staff to make documentation the heart of the teaching and learning process?